Hi friends, my name is Jana Eubank for Hip Kit Club, and I am back with another layout using the July 2023 Hip Kits. The collection this month is called Summer is Here, and it's full of tropical fun sherbet colors. I love it. For my layout today, I'm going to be using the Pocket Life Kit to create a 12 by 12 layout. Namely, I'm going to be using the die cuts and the 6 by 8 papers. So first off, I just wanted to flip through the Pocket Life Kit so that you can see all of the fun designs that are included in here, including the stamp. I love the way that the phrases mix together. Also, the die cuts within the cut apart die cuts within the Pocket Life Kit, there are matching dies available that you can use to cut out all of the pieces. So that's what I'm going to do here. For the July 2023 kits, the two dies that coordinate with this is the Pocket Lifestyle 1 and Pocket Lifestyle 3. And the Pocket Lifestyle 3 is a brand new style, so it's lots of fun. It has a really cute tear apart tag as part of it, the designs. And here's just everything cut apart and ready to go. There's all these fun phrases that you can cut apart. The phrases are printed on both sides so that but they have different colors. So if you like a phrase and you want it to be a different color, you can just choose. So I love that. To start off this page, I'm going to be using the yellow cardstock from the cardstock kit that's called Sunrise Yellow, and I'm using the chevron side of that paper. Now I'm going to pull out the 6 by 8 papers from the Pocket Life kit, and I'm just going to first map my photo, my main photo, with one of the papers, and I chose to go with that coral messy dot. Now my plan is to cut some more blocks of the pattern papers and place them in a row to the right of the main photo. So here I'm just selecting some of the patterns that I think I want to use. I definitely want to use that green floral, that's my favorite. Next I'm going to be using that yellow wave, and then for the third block I wasn't quite sure, I was just trying out a few different patterns here. So I measured the height of my matted photo, which was 5 1/4, and now I'm just cutting those blocks to the same height. I did turn the yellow wave pattern so that the waves would be going the right direction, and so each of those blocks are a different size. The green floral is 2 1/4, the yellow waves is 1 1/4, and then the last paper that I decided to go with is the coral messy grid, and that one will be 2 inches by 5 1/4. So we'll get those all lined up. I'll take a minute to cut those. I'll ink them with some light gray ink, and then I'll use a ruler to line them up on my page. I think first though, I do go over to these to the Pocket Life cards, and I find these Polaroid frames that are featured on a 3 by 4 card and then one of the 3 by 8 cards. So I'm going to fussy cut these out and use these to frame some smaller photos onto my page. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut right along that line. I'm cutting into the solid portion of the frame a little bit so that I don't have the background pattern showing along the edges of those frames. I will take some detail scissors and cut out the centers of each of those Polaroid frames, and then they'll be ready to adhere to my photos and get those framed up. Now there was these cute little flags that were on these Polaroid frames, but they were hanging down just the way that my photos were. They were hanging down over people's faces, so I decided to just cut them off, and I just leave that little band of color. I don't think anyone's even gonna really pay attention to that, so I just leave it, and it works out great. So we'll go ahead and just adhere these right onto the photo, and then I'll use my scissors and trim around each of these frames and get them ready to adhere. So once they're ready to go, I'm going to add them in a line across the bottom of those 6 by 8 pattern paper blocks. The pattern paper blocks will all be straight, but I do kind of stagger the Polaroid frames. So we'll go ahead and do that now. So while I adhere that and get that put together, I'll tell you a little bit about my photos. You may have noticed that I'm using all the same type of look or photos on my layouts this month, and that's because these photos match, or this collection matched these photos so well. These are from a cruise that my family took when my son graduated from high school, and on this particular day we were at Cozumel. Instead of taking a shore excursion, we went to Chonkanab Beach Adventure Park. Sorry, I'm not going to say that right. And we rented a private cabana and just sat on the beach, and it was the most beautiful place. It was so much fun, and so we loved it. We took so many photos this day just because it was the most decadent experience, and we just had a great time. So next up, I'm going to turn my attention back over to the Pocket Life die cuts. These are all the pieces that I cut out using those dies, as well as the word strips, and I'm going to play with these for a moment. I pulled out this little book plate that says vacay mode, and I'm going to place that layered on top of a blue label to the left of my photo. Now I'm trying to add a little bit of yellow because I have the yellow photo frame, the yellow paper strip, and now I want to create a visual triangle on my page and add a third yellow element. I decide to add this little washi tape and yellow label that are kind of layered together on this die cut over to the left along with the vacay mode. And then now I'm going to go through the 3x4 pocket cards, and I'm looking for one that I can use to add my journaling to this page before I start embellishing. So I pull out this one that looks kind of like a checklist or like a little ledger, and I'm going to trim that down and just add that above the Polaroid photos spanning across the green and yellow pattern paper blocks. And I really like how that looks. So next up, I've got my basic details to this page. I was planning on that vacay mode being my title. So I have my title, my photos, and a place to journal, and now I'm ready to embellish. So I pulled out the main kit die cuts, and I'm just looking through these. I thought I might add some icons, but when I saw those two little floral pieces, I really liked the way the florals looked. So I went on over to the embellishment kit where there's a whole pack of floral die cuts, and I pulled out these ones that don't have a white border to them. Most of them have a white border to them, but there were 3 that didn't. So I decided to cluster those together here on the right side of my page. So I add those to the bottom corner of that coral messy grid, and now I'm grabbing the vellum leaf die cuts from the embellishment kit, and I'm going to add those around the page. Because I have that green floral block of paper from the 6x8 papers, I'm trying to build another visual triangle of the green color to along my page. So I'm adding a couple of green leaves to the left over by the vacay mode book plate, and now I'm adding some of those vellum leaves around those florals. And I'm just trying to add some darker leaves and some lighter leaves. I felt like I should add a third cluster of leaves maybe towards the top of that green floral paper, but I wasn't quite sure what to do. At that point I decided, you know what, I think I will add some of the large floral die cuts up there. So I'm going to be pulling out that metal die in just a minute. First, I did go through the chipboard pieces from the embellishment kit, and you can see that I pulled out that piece that says sunshine and good times, and that actually ends up being my title. Even though I have multiple words on that, that's the largest set of words, so I'm going to count that as my title. Here I've used the large floral die cut to cut out several layers of these flowers, and I wanted to have a second layer to this hibiscus flower to kind of graduate in towards the center. So what I decided to do is pull out some pinking shears. You can use any kind of pattern scissors that you might have. You know, maybe you want to blow some dust off of them and put them to use. So I just cut out 2 of the large pieces, and then one of them I'm cutting down the petals with those pattern scissors, and now I'm going to adhere these flowers all together, adding thin foam tape in between the layers. I do add tape in between every single layer because I think it adds, you know, some nice shadowing to the flowers and makes them feel really, I don't know, 3D. They come to life. I really like them. So I have the flower center. I did cut out another one of the small flowers to kind of make the flower center look more voluminous. So I have those, and I add those all together, or stack those all together before adding the yellow stamen. I think that's what those are called. What's the center of the flower called? I think it's called a stamen. I don't know. Anyway, so I add all the stamen there with some liquid glue, and then now I'm ready to adhere down the vellum leaves and the floral cluster to the bottom right corner of the page. Now you can see that as before I'm adding those flowers to the page with the foam tape, I am bending each petal in half. That's just to give those a bit of dimension as well and make them look like they come to life. I will go back and do that to the large flowers as well. In fact, I'll bend up all the petals of the large flowers, and then I will curl up the inner layer of those flowers just to make them look nice and fluffy and nice and realistic. So I love making flowers. It's one of my favorite things to do on a scrapbook page, and I had so much fun with these dies on this layout. So we'll go ahead and put that to music and put those together for a moment. I'm having so much fun with these vellum leaves from the embellishment kit this month, and so I pull them out again to add to these larger flowers at the top of my page. You can see that I struggled with this quite a bit. In fact, this has way too many leaves here. I'm just trying to balance the colors, but I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm getting carried away. So I pull them all off again, and I'm going to fuss with this for quite some time. I do cut out a lot of that so you won't see the whole process, but I do finally end up with a nice balance. I will finish out these leaves here, and then I'm gonna go turn my attention back to that chipboard title at the bottom of the Polaroid frames, and I want to add something else to that title just to fill it out or give it more presence on the page. So I'm flipping through the chipboard pieces. I thought I might add this swimsuit, the two-piece swimsuit to the left, but I find this blue little camera, which I think works well. I like that it adds some more blue to the page, and in fact, while I'm in those chipboard pieces, I find that blue Best Summer Ever circle that I'm going to add to the top of the page. The reason I'm doing that is because, again, I'm trying to balance out the colors, and I'm creating another visual triangle, this time with the blue color. So we had the blue Polaroid frame on the right, we had the blue label on the left, and then I'm adding that blue chipboard circle up to the top. I did also add a couple of die cuts from the Pocket Life kit. So we've got the two hearts and the oval phrase down below this title as well, and that fills it out and makes it feel nice and balanced and gives it a lot of presence. So I will take a minute to ink those and also pop them up with some thin foam tape. Now, another thing you might notice that I'm doing is I'm working from larger pieces to smaller pieces. So I started out with the larger photos and photo blocks and the photo frames. Then we went to the flowers, which are kind of the next size, and the title. Now I want to start coming in and filling in the spaces with some sprinkling elements. So there's these two tiny flowers in the Tropical Flowers layered die, and I'm going to use those to cut out lots of flowers in lots of different colors and just kind of tuck them here and there all around the page. This helps me to connect all of the different elements together. I can tuck them behind the flower clusters, I can tuck them behind the photos, or layering on top of the photos. And when things start to touch like this and you have a variety of sizes, it just adds a lot of interest, but it also makes everything feel nice and full and connected together. So I'll take a minute to do that. And then I'm going to pull out some Nuvo drops from the April color kit, actually. These are the Lemon Twist Nuvo drops, and I will use those to add a flower center to each of these little tiny flowers. So let's take a minute to do that, and I'll be back in a second. Now my title here is Sunshine and Good Times, but I don't have a sunshine anywhere on this page. So I went to the main kit, and this is the only die cut that I pull from the main kit, and I grabbed that little sunshine and added above the title. There was also one in the embellishment kit. It's yellow, so if you want to add that one, you can do that as well. I also added some of those Nuvo drops to the book plate to look like brads, holding that down. And now I am going back to the Pocket Life die cuts, and I'm looking for little pieces that I can add in at the top of the page. You saw that I added a flag and a couple of circles. Next, I'm going to use the stamps from the Pocket Life kit to stamp a phrase onto this yellow label that was to the left of my photos. So I'll go ahead and do that. I'm just using some pink ink from the February color kit, and then I'll re-adhere that into place. You can see I also used the pink kit to add the date to that tab. That tab comes from the Pocket Life kit, but the date stamps are from the January Pocket Life kit. It's a great set, so if you haven't grabbed that, be sure to grab that. You can only get it in the Pocket Life kit, and they are low in stock. So as I was looking at the right margin of my page, all the leaves and flowers almost touch the right edge of the page. So, but on the left side of the page, I have a lot of blank space, so I thought I'd try to balance that a bit by adding another leaf and a couple of flowers to the left side of the page. Well, that completes the page. Here's a closer look at all of the details. You can see the tiny flowers, the tiny die cuts from the Pocket Life kit that I added in, and I love how this came together. The vellum leaves, the tropical flowers that we added some more depth to with our pattern scissors. I had so much fun on this layout today. I hope you enjoyed watching this process. Again, my name is Jana Eubank for Hip Kit Club. Be sure to pick up the July 2023 Hip Kits and subscribe to the channel so you can see what the rest of the design team is creating with this kit. All right, guys, have a great week. We'll see you next time.